onto a long-shot bill that would require presidents justify new tariffs for congressional approval.
That's ABC's Allison Kosick reporting. And Channel 4 says the bill to allow schools to refuse to enroll undocumented students faces one final hurdle today over at the state capitol. If it passes, it goes to the governor's desk. That's the latest news. Weather is up next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
And it's 11:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners. You get those at betterwater.com. We did have a bit of an issue with our live stream. It crashed on us. Mason was working throughout the entire break behind the scenes to get us back up live. Super Talk TV is active on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. Hit like and subscribe if you would like to see my kids go to summer camp, because now that we're starting a new stream, it's like we're starting from scratch. So if these kids want to go to summer camp, we're going to need some more likes.
Just need them.
We need more likes. We need more subscribes. Share the show with your friends. All jokes aside, we do appreciate it when you do. And you can even set yourself up to get notifications when we do go live. We were talking about, a lot of things. We covered the economy a bit, the fake news that was launched this morning that Donald Trump would be considering a 90-day pause on all tariffs except China. And then the markets reacted. The markets were like, whoa, this is awesome. And then it surges. And then the White House said, that's fake news. And then it dumped again. And I don't know. I kind of chuckled a bit, I'll be honest with you. And maybe I shouldn't, because some people are losing real money in the stock market. I'll tell you who I don't think is losing real money in the stock market, like people that do stock market things. I think people that do stock market things are looking at today in the past couple of days as a land of opportunity. And I think that some people are going to make a lot of money over these next couple of days when it comes to the stock market. Is it going to be you or I? I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out. But as all this is happening behind the scenes, We have crude oil now below $60 a barrel. First time in 4 years we've seen that. We have inflation numbers dropping. We have interest rates dropping. And the Fed is actually having a closed-door meeting to talk about interest rates and dialing those back a little bit. That closed-door meeting is currently going on. It's anticipated that a closed-door meeting of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System at 11:30 a.m. on Monday, April 7th, will be held under procedures set forth in Section 261B.7 of the Board's rules regarding public observation meetings at the Board's office at 20th Street and C Streets, Northwest, Washington, D.C., and by audio-video conference call. The following matters of official board business are tentatively scheduled to be considered at that meeting. They're going to be talking about lowering interest rates. So Trump is calling for rates to be cut, and Trump's argument is that you got the oil prices way down, you have interest rates down, food prices coming down, and there's no inflation. So the Feds have announced that they have a closed-door meeting currently. Maybe they'll dial back some interest rates. We'll keep you posted on that meeting as well. Update on the border. The Department of Homeland Security has requested IRS share tax data on up to 7 million illegal aliens that they have tax data on. And I read this headline, and my first thought is, why wouldn't they have already been doing that? That kind of seems obvious, right? Like, hey, we have this address and tax data of an illegal alien, and we know where they work. Maybe you could go scoop them up and send them home. Apparently that wasn't happening because the Department of Homeland Security is now seeking that access to confidential tax records from the IRS in an effort to locate as many as 7 million people believed to be in the United States illegally. This is according to a report by the Washington Post. The Post Millennial has the breakdown. DHS officials have previously requested information on approximately 700,000 individuals who are subject to final deportation orders, asking the IRS to provide names and addresses. The size of the request later expanded, with DHS officials saying they would submit preliminary queries for about 2 million people, which then rose to 7 million people. However, the two agencies, they haven't reached an agreement yet. It's weird. A little bit frustrating, don't you think? So you have the names and the addresses of all of these illegal aliens, the illegal aliens that the American people want out of the country immediately, and you haven't come to an agreement on how to share that data? It's just frustrating on so many levels. You know where the illegal aliens are. You haven't agreed to release the data to DHS. If some of those illegal aliens are on terror watch lists and commit heinous acts of violence, is that blood now on the hands of the IRS because they wouldn't give up this data? It's wild. So the agencies have yet to reach an agreement on how much tax information the IRS is willing to disclose. Lawyers from both agencies have been in ongoing negotiations over the matter. Acting IRS Commissioner Melanie Krause has reportedly told staff she expects the agency will ultimately comply with the Trump administration's request. Oh, how kind of you. You will ultimately, we'll get there. Ultimately, we'll comply. She says, while we have nothing to share regarding potential discussions, the United States Treasury is fully committed to supporting our partner agencies in executing the President's America First agenda, a Treasury spokesperson said anonymously to the Washington Post. Federal tax data is considered confidential, and even basic identifying information like names and addresses is protected. Sharing such information unlawfully has civil and criminal penalties. However, data can be shared with law enforcement under certain conditions and typically require a court approval. IRS officials have reportedly warned DHS that the request likely falls outside the criminal investigation exemptions and may violate the law. If they're here illegally and they're investigating them, how does that fall outside of criminal investigation exemptions? The IRS has long assured illegal aliens that filing income taxes would not put them at risk of deportation. According to the Washington Post, illegal immigrants contribute tens of billions of dollars annually in federal taxes. Sure. Back in February, DHS asked the IRS for contact information on 700,000 suspected illegal aliens and also requested the agency investigate businesses suspected of hiring them. Then acting IRS Commissioner Doug O'Donnell declined that request and then resigned the following day. Nice. So we're still going to have to do this the hard way, right? Like, if the IRS doesn't want to help, well, then ICE and DHS, they're going to have to do it the hard way. They have been doing it the hard way. They just nabbed 133 illegal aliens in New York City, 3 of which were convicted of homicide. Over 100 illegal aliens, including several convicted killers, have been apprehended by ICE during a mass deportation operation in New York. The agency revealed that during the course of the operation conducted from March 24th to March 28th, 133 illegal aliens were apprehended. 20 of the individuals apprehended have criminal charges or convictions, including 3 who were convicted killers. 9 of those arrested have been previously deported and illegally re-entered the United States. Among the convicted killers apprehended were a 49-year-old from Trinidad and Tobago, a 32-year-old from El Salvador, and a 70-year-old from the Dominican Republic. ICE also arrested a 43-year-old South African citizen who is charged with distributing and possessing child pornography in New York. These people are sick. And these are who the Democrats all weekend long at the hands-off protest were chanting, bring them back, in relation to. These kinds of monsters. Make no mistake about it. They value, on the Democrat side, these illegal alien gang member terrorists, rapists, and murderers more than they value the average American citizen. Just over the weekend, they were chanting, bring them back. Bring them back. It's disgusting. This is what the Democrats want. This is what we saw them pushing for under 4 years of Joe Biden. This is what we need to remedy, and remedy quickly. Now, ICE they're putting in work. They're putting in work. I saw, this is also from the hands-off protest over the weekend. And if you're watching on Super Talk TV, you'll get the visual. But there's an undocumented woman, and she's so proud of being undocumented that she has to get up and just tell the whole crowd via the microphone that she is undocumented. End Wokeness on Twitter said ICE is going to need a forklift for this one. Oh, that's awful. That's a nasty one. That's nasty. She's a big gal. She's a big gal.
My name is Gracia Martinez Rosas. I am an immigrant. I am
Undocumented,
undocumented, unafraid.
unafraid, queer, and unashamed.
You sure about that?
That's what she said. End Wokeness on Twitter. ICE is going to need a forklift for this one.
That's a nasty one. That's nasty.
You know, I got a text over the weekend. I got an email. Somebody said, I need the that's a nasty one for a ringtone for a friend. And so I was like, I'm on it. And it's, I went and found the clip in like a minute and a half and sent it to him.
Beautiful.
This is for you.
Beautiful.
This is what we do. We're helping out friends.
That's a nasty one. That's nasty.
Yep. ICE is going to need a forklift for that one, yeah. Judge Boasberg is considering holding the Trump admin officials in contempt over some deportation flights. This news broke on Friday. U.S. District Judge James Boasberg is considering whether to hold Trump administration officials in contempt of court after 3 deportation flights filled with suspected MS-13 and Tren de Aragua gang members were sent to El Salvador as the judge gave an order to have the flights turned around. The 3 that made it to El Salvador were in progress when the order was written. Boasberg claimed the administration appeared to act in bad faith by deporting the flights full of suspected gang members and illegal aliens and terrorists, while legal proceedings were still being arranged to review the legality of the removals. Trump had the removals go forward with the invoking of the Alien Enemies Act. In a hearing on Thursday, Boasberg said he is weighing penalties he could impose should he hold officials in contempt for the deportation flights that were carried out on March 15th. Boasberg did not, however, name any specific officials. He's so salty. All these flavors, and you choose to be salty. One such penalty could be ordering the administration to return foreign nationals back to the U.S., according to a report by Politico, to which I don't think Nayib Bukele would comply. The Obama-appointed judge raises concerns about the Trump administration's behavior, as well as officials' refusal to give him a timeline on how events played out before and after he gave the order. The Trump administration argued in a previous court hearing that they had followed Boasberg's written order, which had occurred after he had given an oral order for the deportations to stop. So he wants them back. Bring them back. Bring them back. Bring them back. You know, it's funny, too. Boasberg, he's just so tough. He's gonna hold these Trump officials in contempt. How dare they get rid of these terrorists and illegal aliens and gang members? Fun fact: Boasberg is also the judge overseeing a case in Washington D.C. where a pro-Hamas protester spray painted a D.C. monument. Hamas is coming. He spray painted that. Judge Boasberg was in charge of this case, this vandalism case. And the penalty was severe. The man was sentenced to 10 days in a federal prison. You can't make this stuff up.
Whoa.
You just can't. I'm going to hold these Trump officials in contempt of court for trying to send these illegal alien gang member terrorists back to El Salvador. You're gonna rue the day that you crossed Judge Boasberg. Oh, you spray painted a D.C. monument with Hamas is coming? 10 days. 10 days. Billy Badass over here. He's just such a tough guy. Those Trump administration officials, though, contempt of court. Zaid Mohammed Madwahi, 26, the president of the Richmond VA chapter of American Muslims for Palestine. Well, he gets 10 days for vandalizing D.C. monuments. So, and he'll also have to pay a hefty fine, $1,500 in restitution. And it's community service there, too. 80 hours of community service. Boasberg throwing the book at him. Madawahi pleaded guilty to destruction of government property, a misdemeanor for his actions during July protests against visiting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Prosecutors said the video showing Madawahi lowering the U.S. flag from its pole in front of Union Station train hub with the flag then stolen by a fellow protester before he climbed up atop a monument of explorer Christopher Columbus and spray painted it with the pro-terrorist group message. The prison sentence comes as the Trump administration takes action to deport students living in the U.S. on visas who partook in these anti-Israel activism events. Which, I don't know. How do you feel about deporting these Israeli or anti-Israel students? I don't really care either way, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't know. It doesn't get my juices flowing one way or the other. Whatever. 10 days, though, for vandalizing a monument in D.C. Could you imagine the penalty if it was a conservative protest and somebody spray painted Trump is coming? No. It would have been much different than 10 days. And again, this is that same tough judge who's ordering planes full of illegal aliens to come back to the United States, who then gives 10 days for a pro-Hamas protester defacing monuments in D.C. No, he's not biased or partisan or anything like that. He's playing this thing down the middle, by the book. And if you think of it any other way, you're a conspiracy theorist, okay? You got it? It's 11:21 on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. You got to listen up. What I could tell you could change your life, and I'm not playing games. If you're suffering from back pain, knee pain, nerve issues, you need to call my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville today, 615-246-5009. They're rolling out that big 47 deal for 2025 in honor of DJT, because just like you, Trump never gave up on America, and Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley won't give up on you. Now, imagine your life without pain. No more neck pain, no more back pain, no more tingling, no more sciatic nerve agony, no more sleepless nights. This is not too good to be true. This could be your reality. And this could be your reality without pills and without surgery. The Wellness Institute specializes in non-surgical spinal decompression. This is a state-of-the-art, high-tech treatment that will naturally heal your spine and nerves. Dr. Mitchell, he's trained all over the world. Dr. Ashley is an expert in holistic healing and advanced chiropractic care. And right now, you can get an exam and x-rays if needed, or bring your own MRI to review with the doctor, and they'll build a game plan to get you back to a pain-free life. Get your life back on track. Reclaim your life. Pain-free is the way to be. Call now, 615-246-5009. 615-246-5009. Don't wait. Your health depends on it. Visit painisbad.com.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
President Trump threatening even higher tariffs on China. This story and more at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver back in the newsroom. It's 11:25 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. We're doing a little border update. Boasberg, Judge Boasberg, giving a light sentence to Hamas vandals, 10 days, wanting to hold Trump administration officials in contempt of court for removing illegal alien gang members and terrorists. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice, right? There's more activist judges out there. We got Judge Paula Zinnes. She is ordering Trump to return that suspected MS-13 gang member from an El Salvadoran prison. Not a fan. Not a fan of that. You remember this story. He was just a dad. The Atlantic covered it, so it had to be true. He's just a dad. A dad who happens to be a member of MS-13. Weird. And on Friday, that U.S. judge, Judge Paula Zinnes, has ruled that the Trump administration must return that Maryland dad who was wrongly deported to El Salvador to the United States within 3 days. Oh, I don't think that's going to happen, honestly. And I'll tell you why I don't think it's going to happen. Because Nayib Bukele, the president of El Salvador, responded himself on Twitter, and he responded to an End Wokeness post. Who it says Judge Paula Zinnes, and I believe that's how you say it, X-I-N-I-S, Zinnes, orders Trump to return a suspected MS-13 member from El Salvador in jail. Nayib Bukele, the president of El Salvador, responded with the bunny that Kevin Hart played in Secret Life of Pets 2. I don't know how. I don't know if you're into alternative timeline theories. I love them. I think they're fun. And I don't know how we got on this timeline where presidents of other countries are crapping on U.S. judges via GIFs. but I'm here for it, and I love it. I love every moment of this. If you're watching on Super Talk TV, you'll see the GIF that Nayib Bukele responded to. It's just a very disappointed bunny. Like I don't think this is going to go down the way you think it's going to go down. Right? Is that the vibe that you're picking up from that as well?
Oh, 100%.
It's just an anti send him back vibe. You know, it's not going to happen. Stephen Miller responded to that judge as well, and Stephen Miller, who is one of my favorites, he said, "This Marxist judge now thinks she's the president of El Salvador." Yeah, apparently, this is the state of activist judges in America. They think that they're the boss. Like, oh, are you the boss in El Salvador? You're not. You're not the boss in El Salvador. That won't stop the leftist protesters all weekend long chanting for that MS-13 gang member who's just a dad. I played this a little while ago. I think it's worth playing again as we kind of re-up this story. Jamie Raskin was talking about that dear old dad that was deported from Maryland, and he's a gang member. He's an MS-13 gang member. Make no mistake about it. And the crowd starts chanting, "Bring him back."
But Judge Boasberg told him that if you've got the means to unlawfully deport someone, you find the means to bring them back.
And then the leftists in the crowd decide to chant, "Bring him back." See, what you have to understand is that this dad from Maryland, who's a member of MS-13, he's just doing the jobs that Americans don't want to do to put food on the table for his families. Jobs like human trafficking, jobs like drug trafficking, jobs like extortion, jobs Americans don't want to do. Although I bet you could find some Americans that would do those jobs. There's full disclosure. But we want to bring him back. We're cheering to bring him back. I don't think he's coming back. It's 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$11:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Tennessee Emergency Management Agency Director Patrick Sheehan says storm damage assessments underway across the state. It's a critical step toward requesting federal help. And you, if you have damage, need to do your part.
But in the meantime, Tennesseans that have assistance should let us know. So your county emergency management agencies are standing by with their partners. The State Emergency Operations Center and TEMA are standing by with our nonprofit partners to make assistance available.
Tennessee Department of Health's reported and confirmed 10 weather-related fatalities. Here's a timely story out of our nation's capital. Chuck Severson.
Americans can now get free direct flood insurance quotes from the Federal Emergency Management Agency through a new website, floodsmart.gov. It's easy and takes just a few minutes, says Cameron Hamilton, the acting head of FEMA. He says in a statement that in the U.S., less than 4% of households have flood insurance, yet 99% of all communities have experienced a flood, the most common disaster and not covered under most homeowners' insurance policies.
Trump administration asking the U.S. Supreme Court to block the return of a Maryland man who, by its own admission, removed to El Salvador by mistake. A federal judge has put a midnight deadline for the return of Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia, who the administration alleges is a gang member. President Trump threatening China with an additional 50% tariff for the 34% China slapped on the U.S. last night. Meanwhile, reports say some Republican U.S. senators are urging the president to take the European Union's zero tariff deal. And today, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu meeting with President Trump, where tariffs are expected to be a hot topic, but also the ongoing war against Hamas in Gaza. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
36 minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. A story that continued to percolate over the weekend. What happened to 17-year-old high school student Austin Metcalf in Frisco, Texas? You may have remembered us talking about this last week. We talked about it quite a bit. I know Dan has covered this story as well. But the story just keeps getting more and more disturbing. So on its surface, in case you missed the original story last week, that you had a track meet happening at a high school. Early morning. Young man by the name of Carmelo Anthony, 17-year-old black student, sitting in the wrong place. 17-year-old white student, Austin Metcalf, says, you're in the wrong area. They all sit under these little tents at the track meets with your team. You're in the wrong area. What happens next depends on who you ask. Some people are saying that Austin Metcalf started the fight. Others are saying, no. Carmelo started the fight. And I'll be honest with you, from my vantage point and everything I've read, I believe Carmelo started the fight. So they get into a bit of an altercation, and the 17-year-old student, Carmelo Anthony, pulls out a knife and stabs Austin Metcalf in the heart. Austin then proceeds to bleed and die in his brother's arms, his twin brother's arms, at a high school track meet. Awful incident. Awful. And I made the point last week, you're not going to hear much about it on the mainstream media. And I'll be honest with you. Have you heard much about it on the mainstream media? Other than the conservative reporting outlets, I have not seen it anywhere. I've not. I think that's a damn shame. I think that this story is a tragedy and it needs to be a lot bigger. I made the point last week that if the races were reversed, well, this would have been a very, very big story. And we would have heard all the tales of a racist young man who was motivated by right-wing ideology on the internet. You would have heard all of that. We didn't hear that. That's not the way it played out. What we had was a 17-year-old black student stabbing and killing a 17-year-old white student. And the media went silent. Crickets. And then over the weekend, it gets even worse. You are having a plethora of people jumping out and defending 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony, who stabbed a young man in the heart at a track meet, defending him, saying Austin started the fight. Okay, let's operate from the standpoint of Austin Metcalf started the fight at a high school track meet. Shouldn't do that. This is if we're operating from that standpoint. Austin started it. At what point does it become okay for a 17-year-old to pull out a knife and stab the other one in the heart? At what point? Honestly. Oh, they say Carmelo Anthony was not the aggressor. Only one of the students was armed with a knife at a track meet. Only one of them. It's weird. It's weird. It gets worse. Individuals have set up GoFundMes for Give Send Goes for Carmelo's official defense fund. They've raised over $100,000. $100,000 has been raised for Carmelo Anthony, the 17-year-old who stabbed Austin Metcalf in the heart and let him bleed out in his brother's arms and die. Awful. How could you sign up to defend this kid? It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense. And his dad, Austin Metcalf's dad, the victim's father, he keeps going on TV and saying he feels bad for the killer, which just blows my mind. And he's getting raked through the coals on the internet because of the way he's choosing to position this. Austin Metcalf's father is, I don't want to go too hard on the guy. I mean, he's grieving. He's going through it. He probably doesn't want this to be a big news story, but a lot of people online are saying, bro, you're way off on this.
Does this other child decide to make a bad choice that's going to affect him for the rest of his life? I have compassion for every human being. This is not, I want to make this very clear. This is not a race issue. This is not a black and white issue. I don't want someone stepping up on a soapbox trying to politicize this. I don't appreciate some of the remarks I've seen online that people say there was this fight and they don't know. They weren't there.
I mean, that's fair. Yeah, we're all I guess going off secondhand information. But I hate to say it, man. Like all the virtue signaling aside, if the roles were reversed, people would absolutely be still making this a political issue. People would absolutely, if the roles had been reversed, they would be calling for the head of Austin Metcalf. They're not reversed. Austin is no longer with us. But if they were, Austin Metcalf would be labeled as a racist young man today. And this story would have a much greater media footprint than it does. And so people are saying to the dad online, like, hey, man, you do understand that, right? You do understand if this was flipped, we'd be having a different conversation. And he went on another, this is on Live Now, Fox, which is like an online streaming thing. He went on another interview, and he doubled down on what he was saying about how he feels sorry for the boy that killed his son.
And the fact that, someone was immediately taken into custody, they know who did this, they are charging him with murder. I mean, how does that make you feel that police immediately got this person?
First of all, I feel sorry for that individual because he's now made a mistake that's going to cost him the rest of his life. The hard part that cost me is I lost my son, and his brother was holding him, trying to hold the blood in, and he passed my son.
I mean, it's the story's heartbreaking, and I don't know. I want to give the dad some grace. I do. Austin Metcalf's mother and twin brother, they don't exactly share the same views that the father shares. The father it wants this all to be kind of put away and not discussed anymore. Austin and his mother, they are a bit less forgiving than the dad currently.
I heard your husband say within hours of this that he forgave this other young man, and he got there so quickly. And I honestly don't know that I could. And I just want to see, and I don't know if there's a right or a wrong place to be, especially as quickly as this has happened. Megan, how do you feel on that front today?
I am not like their dad. I am so angry at that boy. It's just not fair. That's all I have.
I understand.
I'd like to say
it's
it's forgave, not forgotten, but I'm not at that point yet to forgive that kid for what he did to my brother.
Yeah, I don't blame either of them. I mean, they're definitely taking a different approach than the father. But the father says he doesn't want this to be a political issue. And I would hate to. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. It's already turning into one. And leftist activists are surrounding the perimeter of Carmelo Anthony, essentially, and they're trying to protect him. They're raising money for his legal defenses. He's got people in the community coming out saying, oh, Austin started that fight. It was Austin's fault. It was Austin's fault that somebody brought a knife to a track meet? That was Austin's fault? No. And Frisco, Texas, their police department is now launching an investigation because social media users are spreading fake details about the murder of Austin Metcalf. And I would ask the question, which side of the political aisle do those people you think wind up on? I think we could all kind of jump to that conclusion. But there's been multiple anonymous accounts online on social media that have just been launched, and they're trying to justify the murder of Austin Metcalf and at the same time defend the murderer, Carmelo Anthony. According to the Frisco Police Department, anonymous accounts are popping up claiming to be the Frisco Police Department and calling county officials, and they were launched to spread all of this fake info about the murder. One account, pretending to be the police chief, shared a fake reporter to the set to set the record straight against far-right bloggers. Far-right bloggers. One account posted a false claim that Metcalf sucker punched Anthony and that Metcalf smashed Anthony's phone. Both of those were false. Frisco Police Chief David A. Shilson says the person who created the fake statement will be investigated and will face third-degree felony charges of impersonation. And to that, I say good. But this story is really, we're just scratching the surface of this thing here. So just to point out, again, for the dad who doesn't want this to be a political issue, doesn't want this to be a race issue, doesn't want any of that. First, I get it, and I understand where he's at. Right? Like, he doesn't want to relive the murder of his son every night on TV. At least that's how I'm taking it. But you have leftists organizing behind the killer. You have them raising over $100,000 for legal defenses, and they're creating and impersonating police officials and city officials via fake online accounts to spread fake information about the case. It's insane. It's insane. This is a story that I'm definitely going to be following here on the show, and one that we're going to pay close attention to as more information becomes available, because I think that, honestly, the mainstream media isn't doing it any sort of justice whatsoever. So we're going to try and do our best here to follow this and keep you updated as it goes on. But $100,000 raised to defend the killer in this situation, Carmelo Anthony, the kid that brought a knife to a track meet, has six figures in his give, send, go right now for his legal defense. Absolutely awful. It's 11:48 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 53 minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Chad Benson's back in studio. You had a day off on Friday. You have a good day off?
I did. Took my my oldest one, whopping 14. We went golfing.
Nice. Where'd you go golfing?
Franklin Bridges, I think it was. It was nice.
Yeah?
Yeah, dude. It was super Rockwell-esque, picturesque. It was so weird, though. So much flooding had gone on for the last several days. There were dead fish all over the course.
Really? That's crazy.
It was weird. I'm like looking down. I'm like in the middle of the fairway. I'm like, is that a dead fish? I'm like, somebody. Next thing you know, you go somewhere, it's another 3 or 4 dead fish. You're like, oh, well, they probably thought their life had changed. Look, we got a new address. Oh, you're dead now.
Look at all this room we have.
Hey, can any of you walk?
That's hilarious.
That's a no.
All right, so good weekend. Good weekend with the fam.
Of course, we were here Saturday for the, man, I got caught up in that. That was a nightmare.
Yeah, because you were out driving.
Yeah, we were out driving. We're on the 40, heading, back here. We were at Costco, and next thing you know, by the time we got out of by the time we'd gotten out of the parking lot, it had gone from a drizzle to a little bit of a rain to we might have to pull over because I can't see.
Really?
Yeah.
It was a mess out there.
It was.
I mean, all things considered, and I know some people are dealing with damage, but the overwhelming majority of the area, we dodged a bullet with all those storms that we had coming through.
Yeah, because some of the other states were not so lucky. And some of the outlying areas, even here in Tennessee, further out of our listening area, they flooded.
Hammered.
Yeah. And we forget about that. We always talk about the tornado because it's the immediate impact of the tornado. But the flooding aftermath was, because I was talking to the guy I was golfing with. He goes, see that there? I said, yeah. I go, that little lake. He goes, that's not a lake. That's an area that's like a sand trap, but it's a hard pan sand trap area where he goes, I've never seen it full in all my years I've ever been here. And it's full. It looked like a lake.
Really?
Yeah.
That's insane. I mean, yeah, the flooding risk is going to continue. Nashville Severe Weather said the Cumberland River downtown, still pretty high water level. So do many other creeks and streams. River flooding will still be an issue today and tomorrow. Don't cross flooded roads.
Yeah, the fact you have to say that, it's like the same way you have to say don't touch power lines.
And we say it so often, and then you still see the videos. Did you see the video of that guy in the truck driving through the massive puddle?
I remember I was in Palm Springs when there was a tsunami that hit and a couple got caught. They were driving and it was like a light that was turning and it looked like just regular. People were turning in front of them and it took off. The rain came and everybody kind of froze and it picked their car up within seconds, just started to move it. And it was crazy. But it was the middle of an intersection. So they got to a point where it wasn't going to flood because there was a bit of a dip. But it can come so fast and you don't know. But at this point, you should know.
Yep.
Getting caught is one thing. But it's another if you're like, I'm going to try to drive through. And sometimes I'm thinking, there's your sign. Right? This is just God's way of saying, duh.
Honestly.
And you're driving through in a Prius, okay? You don't have one of those giant trucks with huge wheels, right? You have none of that.
Let's see what my Altima can handle. We're rolling the dice here.
Let's see what my Fiat can do here.
We make it through or insurance gets me something new.
With water damage. What did you talk about today? What exciting stuff besides tariffs?
Well, tariffs are a big part of the show. I love them. I love what we're doing. But we talked about the fake news that rolled through, that there's going to be a 90-day pause and the market surged, and then they realized it was fake news. Which, if you trace it back to the origin clip, he never says
no 90-
day pause.
Yeah.
Would you consider a 90-day pause? And he goes, yeah, that's not something we're considering. It's like, or did you?
I didn't get I don't even half the time when I hear stuff anymore. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna let it percolate. Right? I'm gonna let it. You guys figure out what's gonna happen. I'm gonna let it percolate because I don't believe half the stuff I hear and 90% of the stuff I see at this weird point.
I'm like, how is this happening? I'm going through my prep. I'm like, I have clip after clip of Lutnick and Besant saying we're not postponing any tariffs. We're not pulling anything back. If you want to negotiate, come to the table. 50 countries have so far, which is great. But we're not pulling back. So I know that, and then I see this report. I'm like, it doesn't pass the sniff test at all.
No, they didn't. That would be like somebody went rogue inside the administration.
But it also shows how volatile these markets are.
They're scared. They're jittery globally. I mean, you see what's happening. And here's the thing. We're taking a hit, and it sucks. And if you're 72 or you're retiring this week, like you said, there's a certain issue there. You don't want to unretire for the wrong reasons. But you go look at the rest of the world. Go look at China. China their growth since 2009 has been ridiculous. Their market since 2009 up 2%.
Yeah.
Our growth, we have 70% of the world's funds in our market, making up very little of the world's population. But the economy is such a beast, and because ours is a little bit more regulated than a lot of other places. So, the manipulation side of stuff is where a lot of people want to be. Because China, you can go manipulate all you want. They make up stuff. I mean, how they did it with ours. It's like guys would go over and look and go, yeah, I'm not spending any money on this. This is a warehouse with nothing in it. And you guys say you're worth $500 billion.
Yep. China's on notice now, too. They had retaliatory tariffs, and Trump said if you don't take them off by the 9th, you're going to have 50% tariffs.
Here we go. I think look, let's be real. This is mostly about them.
Yeah,
that's what it is. It's not about Europe.
Oh no, I think
you're
there is some
going after Europe and little stuff, but this is mostly about China. This is mostly about not just China with the tariffs and the cheap goods, but also China long term, and the because this is kind of the new. It's a chill war, right? It's more about money, and it's a monetary kind of thing that the battle's going to go on here, as much as it is anything else, because they're a beast. And they want to be the beast, but we're the beast.
But the European Union, you can absolutely make the argument that with the tariffs and the fact that we have to protect them from everything.
Yeah, you can make that argument. But, I always tell everybody, we put those tariffs on ourselves in a lot of places to help rebuild their nations. They should have come off. And I look back and go, we've had 70 years. Why did nobody think about doing this before?
Honestly.
Yes, I understood why Japan, we did it. I understood why Germany, we did it. We wanted to build them back up. We didn't want them to be in a situation where they were going to be like they were before. Let's build them back up. We'll use tariffs to do it. And then nobody decided to do anything else? No.
Status quo.
Yeah. And it's not like we got super cheap goods from there. Let's be real. We get super cheap goods from nations where they can pay $2 a day.
Yeah. And did that work out for us in the grand scheme of things? We got cheaper goods, but less jobs for people to afford them.
It's a different world. We're service heavy, which is a beautiful thing that nobody talks about, the service trade. We have a surplus there when we're exporting things like banking, financial, that kind of stuff. But no, when it comes to the manufacturing side, no.
Yeah.
Nowadays, try getting a kid to manufacture. I told my son that today. You excited for a manufacturing job? And he basically told me, start off.
Make kids work in factories again. That's what I say.
Oh, make them do it younger, too. More often.
I wouldn't have to be worried about how to pay for summer camp. I wouldn't be begging for legs.
You would not.
I wouldn't have to be begging for legs.
But you're going to have to ask your boss if you can get off for summer camp.
It's 12 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.